Hi, this is Jess Venus with Lifeforceenergy. Hello, Vibe Tribe. It's a wonderful day, and I wanted to talk with all of you in regards to certain issues that just keep raising up in your timeline. And you may have been working on it, you're concentrating on healing and focusing, but I just learned and discovered about how certain issues in our lives are actually imprinted in our energetic timeline. In other words, your Akashic Records. And the Akashic Records are to be known as the records that contain all of the knowledge of your human experiences from past and present and future. So in other words, all of your events that is coming up of your human experiences. And it's also known as the history of the cosmos. So I like to use it metaphorically as if it was a library of all your human experiences. So what I've been noticing is that certain issues will rise up. And it may be like you may have felt like it was conquered with one particular person, and yet it keeps coming forward in the current timeline through the same issue but with different people. Well, that's because it's important for us to dig and look for the original issue in your energetic timeline. Is it in this present timeline? Was it set up in your Akashic Records? That's where I come in. I am a theta healer, intuitive dimensional healer. I call myself really an interdimensional healer because I work with the Akashic Records. I work with the present timeline. I work with the past and the future. And so as I was studying in my course about working with Akashic Records, now I've been doing Akashic Records for over 7 years now. And it has served me so dramatically in my own personal experiences. And then I started incorporating with the souls that come in that are able and ready and willing and eager to literally work on that said original issue. Because a lot of people say, I'm ready. And then we're working with just common factors that show up on the surface of the energetic field. We'll work that out. They get cleansed and purged, and they're like, why am I feeling all these emotions? Why am I going through this roller coaster? And I'm like explaining that they have to imagine how many years that they've been living on this particular foundation for so long. So when that foundation is being rocked because it's going to be rebuilt, there is a brokenness that ends up happening. And a lot of the times they feel like, oh, what is happening? But they're actually breaking free. And then a new foundation is being built for them. And so what I wanted to share was how the Akashic Records show who we are and what we have to deal with, what were the lessons that we came here to learn, the lessons that we came here to teach, the lessons that we have chosen prior to being incarnated into the vessel that we're in currently. Our souls had an agreement about what specific experiences and characteristics, archetypes is what I like to call them, that we will experience so that we can gain greater understanding and awareness and enlightenment. So for example, I see that persistent issues can come up with my Vibe Tribe. And so, for example, I will test and check for certain beliefs that you may have that is deeply in your core belief system. So, for example, in regards to one that I'm going to talk about for myself personally, I lost my self-love. When I was testing myself, I saw that it happened at the moment of conception. What? That can happen? Yes, it can. At the moment of conception, when my mother and my father had joined and I was brought into creation, at that moment, my soul had lost its self-love. Now, that could be for the purpose of my mother and my father having their own personal issues and trying to find that self-love and fulfill it within themselves by being together, which later on they discovered that that didn't work out because they didn't address the original issue. Because I was created in that moment between these two ingredients, we'll say, then I came out and I am the product at the end. I lost my self-love at the moment of conception, which became an issue for me all throughout my life. In other words, which was why I allowed myself to be provoked, targeted, mistreated, and abused. Yes, I had a choice of that. At that moment is what I experienced, and I accepted it as my own identity. And then it carried on all throughout my life. Well, I just recently worked on that because I said, so these issues of low self-esteem, not thinking I was whatever good enough, that I wasn't pretty enough, I wasn't smart enough, I wasn't capable like other people, I wasn't able to shine enough like everyone else, was all bullshit lies that was projected into me that I accepted as my own personal truth and then allowed it to carry on in my life. So I said, screw that. I'm changing that archetype. So what I end up doing is that I had to find out which statements were true. For those of you who are aware of muscle testing, it's an excellent way of testing your energy field of what you accept as your truth, as your belief system that ends up being materialized in your characteristics, in your personality, and therefore your life. So when I was testing for certain statements, when I tested, I lost my self-love. And so at that time, it held up really strong. It's when I used the O-ring, and then I saw that that was when I go, whoa. So then I had to go into my timeline. And so then I check energetically for my timeline. I'll go ahead, I'll check, like, is it here in conception? Show me my conception line, and I can actually feel the conception line. And then I'll check from 0 to 5, 5 to 10, and so forth, going to now, and then going to my Akashic Records. So I saw that at the time when I was checking and muscle testing, that it showed up at conception. That was my original issue. So then I had to go back into that timeline, go to the original issue at the moment of conception, say what it was, bring it all the way up to my now, and pull it up to my Akashic Records, send it to the divine, and change what the new belief system was going to be. And my new belief system was, I love myself, I am loving, I am lovable, I am worthy. Because I was like, this way of thinking, I know, had actually been very troublesome for me and had influenced my relationships, my work, even not trying new activities in my life. I felt very rejected and unaccepted, and basically the misfit. And I've owned it, actually. I've even said, I'm okay with being the misfit. I'm okay that I'm not like everyone else. And that's great to some extent, but to the extent where it was self-sabotage, that's where that had to end. So once you become aware of those particular original issues in your timeline, when I'm working on someone, we'll say, are truly ready to let it go. And the reason why I say truly ready, what does that mean? It's because perhaps you really haven't yet learned what your soul wanted to learn from that particular archetype in your Akashic Records, which meant that you haven't gone through enough by gaining understanding and awareness of why that had to transpire into your life. So then once you're literally at a place, and I'll check for you energetically if you really are able to accept this, because once we change it, it's done. We're really literally changing it, and I got to ask for your permission. So even though you're paying me for an appointment, I'm still going to ask you at the moment that we're about to start the procedure, the technique, I'm going to ask you, do you give me permission to change your archetype from, we'll say, victim to peaceful warrior? And then you'll say, most likely, yes. And then I will really check to see if that's something that your brain, your cerebellum, from the other associated memories will be able to accept as a new truth, as a new form of information that will be placed in your brain so that you can now live in that truth, in that identity. So I do like to check and change the archetypes because it changes your life. And it really does. I've done several different type of archetype changes throughout my life and personality retirements, and it has served me tremendously. I look back and it's like a memory, but it doesn't do anything to me where it creates like sensations of any kind of negativity. It actually is very liberating, and I applaud myself, and I feel very proud and released and free. So we go through the Akashic Records so we can change certain archetypes. So archetypes are identities that you'll have. Let me go ahead and pull out my list. So there are different type of archetypes. It could be the caregiver, which is one of my archetypes that I've chosen, and I have many more. There are ones that I had checked for, which I'll do is I'll test for archetypes and see which ones come up. And there's so many of them, okay? Because you've lived so many different forms of energetic cycles. But the ones that will show up that will tell me this is their person's archetype, I will write down what they are, and then I will test and ask which ones that your soul is ready to retire and replace with a new archetype that will serve you in this timeline and moving forward. And so then I'll test for that. And at the time, whatever is allowed at that moment is what you can handle with. So as I was taught, Only what you can deal with is what you can heal. Okay, so a lot of the times we're very enthralled, we're very enthusiastic to do it, but internally we haven't learned the lesson that was necessary. So I'll take a look for a certain type of archetype, and what I'm doing is I'm reviewing the Akashic Records and I'm checking a look at your contracts. Then I look to modify that particular Akashic contract to a new definition. So like, for example, I had the enabler, which explained why I was in that really terrible marriage because I was enabling them in the sense of trusting that they were going to change and that they were going to be able to make the choices that I felt that they could do and that I believed in them to be able to do, but they were not yet ready. And so I took that on upon myself as if their issue became my issue. So I enabled them by being present and by allowing them to continue to behave in that manner, and that it affected me and was a form of abuse that I allowed. And then it just showed me that the enabler had always been a part of my personality. I can't even tell you how happy and free I am feeling since I work and addressed on that. So the enabler archetype, I had changed it to the bringer of light. That's wonderful. I want to be able to support people, but I don't want to enable them. I just want to shed light onto the areas that you need to find in yourself without me trying to do the work for you or taking on the responsibility in my mind or in my heart that I'm supposed to take it on. It's not my soul contract, it's yours. So that was something that I had to work on. And so I was able to clear that, and it helped me after, like days after, it made me look back. I've been actually having memories coming up, and that's what happens to my vibe tribe. You'll start having memories like literally show up in your sleep. You'll have dream recall. It'll show up while you're awake, and you'll start remembering the parts of that archetype that was once there because it's clearing. And you're able to look at it because finally when you can look at it, it's not doing anything here. You're analytical, you're observing is really what's happening. You're observing of what happened, and you're like, I gained insight from it. It's really helped me to grow from it. And so anyhow, I wanted to share that with you because I know that archetypes are really big and they are contained within our Akashic Records. And so then I will muscle test to take a look if that archetype is ready to take on a new one. Now, for example, if I get a muscle test with you and it muscle tests weak, that means you're not ready. You're not ready to let that go for whatever reasons. And so if we have time in your session, I'll want to see what is the reason why, to bring that to your awareness so that you can hash that out within yourself. I will bring it to your attention. I will let you know before you came into being in this life, you had chose for some reason to experience the role of archetype, we'll say as an example of a victim. And if you had tested weak to that archetype, now that means your mind and soul are no longer in alignment with being a victim now or throughout the rest of your time in this plane. Then I will say to you, if being a victim no longer works with the scheme and being of your life's plan, what role in your life would you prefer to continue with? At that point, usually as we're working, you'll be like, this is what I would like. I've been working with a couple of my vibe tribers already, and it was so cool to be able to see what specific areas on their timeline, what age that particular archetype had taken place, and how it actually was a detriment to them. And it's so neat because they've been like, I remember now that age. Yes, I do recall this. In fact, I couldn't even do this because this is what was going on in my environment. Your family, your environment contributes to the majority of your personality and your characteristics and how others will treat you and how you allow it. It's because it's what we're familiar with in our brain. So we snapshot our family with people that we meet, and especially those that we actually bond with and they feel like family, they have a better chance of being able to do certain things to us that our family members would do. And that's why we're like, why are we keep dealing with this issue? I've had this issue with my mother, or I've had this issue with my father, I've had this issue with my siblings, with my aunts, blah, 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 so on and so forth. So it is very important to be able to address certain archetypes within the Akashic Records that have been keeping you shackled to behaviors of others and of yourself. And when you are truly ready to retire them, I am here. My name is Jess Venus with Lifeforceenergy. I am an interdimensional healer. I am a holy fire Reiki master, practitioner, and teacher. I'm also a theta healing practitioner. I'm a yoni doula, a past life regressor. That's how I do my past life regressions differently than others. I'll use my Reiki Deluxe, elite dual Reiki sessions and cosmic journeys to have the opportunity to go in deeper, because that's what healing is. We got to delve deep into ourselves, bring out whatever we've been hiding from ourselves and from the world, although we're not really hiding it because it keeps showing up. And it's time to bring it up to the front and confront the said issue, confront yourself and heal and love yourself, forgive yourself, because you were dealing with certain people and situations and why it has affected your characteristics, because that was your way of survival. So we're not going to condemn ourselves. We're not going to judge ourselves. We're not going to shame ourselves or live in guilt anymore. What we're going to do is we're going to love ourselves. Love that inner child that has been wounded. Love the adult that has been betrayed. Love your soul. And so that's what I'm here to do. If you would like to try one of our Reiki sessions, you want to go for the Reiki Deluxe. Is always the first one that I'm going to suggest. The Reiki Deluxe gives me an opportunity to see what's going on with your chakra system, if there are any etheric cords, if you have any psychic attacks. I'll be explaining more of those in the next video, but I wanted to talk about the Akashic Records because the Akashic Records really explain a lot about who we are. And I love it because once you can look and realize who you were in your past and how it influences in your present timeline, it can be very liberating, and you can grow and evolve, and you can go through this beautiful connection within yourself as you connect into the universal consciousness. So thank you so much. I'll be posting here in my video on my comments. You can find me if you are interested in trying a Reiki Deluxe. All first-time visits get my Reiki Deluxe session for $99, and it's for 60 minutes. So please feel free to reach out to me if you are interested in wanting to really dive deep. And I'm going to tell you something as well. When you're doing a healing, I'm sorry, it's not a one and done. I wish it was. I said that to all my spiritualists for over 15 years. And I would say, why can't I'll pay the big money. Let's get it done. And they said, no, sweetheart, this is not cheating life. This is not where you can go ahead and cram for the exam and bam, it's all done. You're clear and you're ready to roll. No, you came in to endure. You came in to survive, to thrive. You came in to raise your vibration. You came to change and to transcend. So that's not going to happen all as a one and done. So if that's what you think that you're going to receive with me, I'm going to tell you no. You may want to go with someone else and they'll tell you whatever you want to hear because they want to be able to pay their bills. Well, I have a cosmic law to follow by, and I hold it with great integrity, honor, and pride. And I will not do that based upon, I won't give you what you think you want or need right now. If it's not showing up energetically in an alignment, you're not going to get it from me. So keep that in mind. If you are really someone that is deeply involved in taking care of themselves consistently, not as an, I just want to do a one and done and there, I'm done. No, sweetheart, once we open up and we clear certain issues, the other issues that were beneath that, like remember like I was using in my other video, the illustration of an onion, we're going to pull back. And so I have been doing this work on myself for a very long time. My mother was taking me to spiritualists since I was a toddler. But when I started really seeking for myself, when I started getting into my 30s, like really diving deep for myself, it has been so promising. It has been so rewarding. The harvest has been plenty. My life is fruitful. I am a very strong and happy, confident woman because I have addressed many issues. And certain issues are coming up in different ways. So I had to go through transformational breathers. I had to go to theta practitioners, Reiki masters. I've gone to shamans. I've gone to curanderos from Santeria. I've done it. And I am grateful for each and every one of them. And I still give them an applaud. I applaud them for being here, for stepping forward in the darkness with me to shed light into my life. Many blessings to each and every one of them. And that's who I stand by. That's what I was treated like, so now I pay it forward. I'm not going to give you something because you think you have to have it right now. That's great. You may have to have it, but you may not be ready for it. And we are going to work on getting you there so that you're ready to confront those particular issues, the original issues, so you can clear them out for good. My name again is Jess Venus. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me today. Wishing you all love, insight, and healing. Bye-bye, everyone.